All right, let's get started. Hello, today is Tuesday, the 8th of November. What we're going to do today is we're going to pick it up, and I've got the React weather app completed. It's pretty ugly, but it works, and so we're going to go over all that, and we're going to start on a movie app. All right, and if we don't finish it today, because again, I've written down my steps, but I like to create it with you. That way, if I screw things up, all right, we get to see them all together. That maybe is a good thing and maybe is a bad thing. I don't know. If we finish everything today, then tomorrow and Thursday will be lab. If we don't finish everything today, we'll finish it up tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, and Thursday will be lab. Regardless, you will be given an assignment that will be emailed to each and every one of you tomorrow, whether we go over it or not. It will not be due until the 20th. So it won't be due this Sunday. It'll be due a week from Sunday. All right. So first, let's go on over and take a look at I'm not going to say the completed app, but my completed app. How's that? So if I come in here and I type in St. Louis, you can see what I get. It's 59 degrees, cloudy, 7-mile-per-hour wind, and humidity at 47%. Now, that's not at all what we had yesterday, if you remember. All right, yesterday was pretty doggone ugly. All right, so I'd like to go back and go over my code and go over where we screwed up and etc. so that anybody who wants to can take a look at it. And let me go in here. I'm going to grab this for right now. All right, you'll see why in a second, but let me grab this. And let me put this out here, and I'm going to change this. And for the Q equals, I'm just going to throw Wentzville in there like I did yesterday. All right, and the reason I'm doing this is, again, I want to show you the way that this particular JSON object is set up. Now, I said this to you yesterday, but I do want to make sure you understand this. That, for instance, we've got coordinates here. Coordinates is a JSON object within a JSON object. All right, coordinates has two values, two key value pairs. One called lon and one called lat for the longitude and latitude. You probably get that, and that's great. But what I want you to understand is that when we are accessing things inside of here, inside of weather, this is now an array. So for instance, if we want to grab this description, we have to go inside of the weather, okay? And that's what I just want you to know. All right. And same thing like here. This is main, but these are just things inside. Why did they set it up like this? I have no idea. I don't work for Open Weather. All right. But this is just the way that it is set up. So it's a little prickly, and it takes a little bit of time to see exactly what goes with what. All right. Now, I am going to start going over the code. I'm going to show it to you literally in a matter of moments. But first, okay, I'm expecting that you're going to do more than what's shown on the screen right here. What do I mean? Well, either you're going to have a background color or you're going to have a background image. All right. You can go through that list of stuff that we just looked at. You can put anything in here that you feel is relevant. So for instance, there's a feels like temperature. I did not put that in here. All right. If you want to put that in, put it in. If you don't like where I put stuff on the screen, move it around. All right. I would like, and I'm not going to help you with this. I have not done this on mine, but I would like it. All right. If you came in and you found, where is it? That image that's in here, the icon. I'd like it if you'd incorporate that into this. All right. I'd like you to at least attempt to do that. But whatever you put in here, I don't know if it sounds kind of goofy to say it this way, but whatever you put in here is whatever you put in here. All right. You're going to be graded on A, does it work? And B, how does it look? All right. And it's going to be the same thing when we start to work on the movie API. All right. We'll get it to a certain point, and it's not going to look that great. It'll be functional, but again, it won't look that great, and that's okay. All right. The other thing I wanted to say, because I meant to say this yesterday, but in case I forget, and I got a bunch of notes and stuff that I've got out here. No, where is that? I'm going to throw it out here anyway. So I'm going to type in here, Jeff Scott's open weather API key. And there it is. Now, you might have grabbed it yesterday. You might not have. Either way, it's fine. In just a couple minutes, I'm also going to show Jeff Scott's, what is it? Open Movie Database API.com API key. And I'll show you that just in case anybody applied for one and didn't get it yet, or you didn't apply for one. So you'll have a key that you'll be able to use. All right. Now, what's going to happen is by the time all this stuff is due, which will be the 20th, so probably on the 21st, I'll deactivate this key. All right. I mean, I'm putting it out there for technically for the world to see, because since I saved this out to YouTube, anybody can grab it. All right. And they do start charging you after a certain point. And I don't want that, as you can probably guess. All right. So let's look at some code. So what you're going to have here, all right, let me get rid of that. What you're going to have here is literally everything that I've put in. Now, in my app.css, that's all that's in there. Text-align center. There's nothing else in there. This is one of the, probably the main file that you're going to jack with and make it look decent. Now, nobody's asked, but as an example, if you want to go in and you want to use Bootstrap, all right, and actually for the movie one, I'm going to recommend that you use Bootstrap, all right. But if you decide you want to do that, then you might want to go out and type in here free Bootstrap themes. All right. And there's a bunch of different sites. Eventually it'll come up unless I typed in something incorrectly. Free or templates, whatever. All right. And there's a whole bunch of them out there. But the other one that you can go to if you want to is there's one that's called Bootswatch. So it's like boots with the word watch on the end. So bootswatch.com. Now, as you see, free themes for Bootstrap. And here they are. All right. I don't know how many there are here, maybe 25. But if you want to use those, fine. I don't care. I just want you to have some styling for this. My hope is that you will think enough of the last 3 projects that we're doing in here, or at least the last 3 we're doing for now. And I mean the movie one that will start in a little bit, this weather one, and we'll probably have one more, and then we'll start on our main project. But you'll want to put all that stuff into your portfolio. All right? Okay. So going back then to app.js, we import React and we import useState. One thing that you're going to see today when we start working on the movie project, and I mentioned this to you earlier, that there isn't just useState. There's other things, use other things that can actually be imported in here. Also, because I've been told this before by people, Jeff, that isn't really necessary there. It's not. It used to be that you had to import React also in there, but technically you don't have to anymore, but I do anyway. And there's just certain things I do because I've been doing them for a while. And I'm not saying that makes them right, but when people say, why do you do this? Why do you do that? That's the reason. Okay. All right. And then here's our CSS file. And then we've got everything in function app here. All right. So again, we came in here, we set up data, and we set up location. This is basically everything This right here is the equivalent, that data right there, that is the equivalent of this. It's all the data. All right. I called it data. I would think you could call it anything you want. I don't know. I mean, I didn't try to change it and call it something else just to see if I could or not. But I would see no reason why if you want to call it weather data or something like that, I suppose you could do that. All right. Okay. So then this is going to be our location. So notice then again that the data is an object. Why? Because again, everything that you saw in here, this is part of a JSON object right there. All right. What you're going to see a little bit later when we start the movie app is what you get back are JSON objects as well. You'll either get back multiple JSON objects. All right. If I search for something like, let's say that I searched for Harry Potter, I'm going to get 8 or 10 or whatever Harry Potter movies. All right. But if instead, when I do that with with the movie one, we can also search and just put in an ID and then just get an individual movie. The results will be different. But in here, we're just getting something fairly generic. All right. Okay. So that's our location. So this is an object. This is just a string. This value right here, this value, that value that you see in blue. All right. That's this right here where it says enter location here. That's what we're using when we set our location. So again, I come in here and I type in Nashville and hit enter. Boom, it changes to Nashville. And you get, well, that just should make sense. All right. Okay. So then we set up our URL. And again, I used word wrap on here. All right. But remember, it is expecting you put the whole https:// in there as I have done. All right. Then api.openweathermap.org/data/2.5. That's the version. Weather equals, and putting in that Q equals location, that is taking a city name. All right. Now, one thing I would like you to do, I'm going to put this in the requirements tomorrow when you get them, because I'm still writing them, but I want you to hear this. I'm going to go out to Open Weather. There are more things in here than we went over in class. All right. Why am I telling you this? What am I telling you? That when you go through here and you go to current weather data and you go to the API documentation, for example, this is different, all right, again, than what we looked at. Okay. Now, why am I showing you this? Because, well, two reasons. First of all, again, you already know you don't have to use latitude and longitude, but the way that ours is currently written, that what the system is expecting that we're going to put inside of here is the name of a city. So in other words, if I put the, let's say that as an example, I've got 3 kids. This is true. All of my kids are adopted. My middle daughter is from Cartagena, Colombia, South America. All right. But if I come in here and I put in Cartagena, it comes back with nothing. All right. Because Cartagena isn't considered to be a city. I would like it if it was set up when you're doing yours. I want you to take a look at the different parameters that are possible in there. See if you can extend. I want your program to be more extensible. So you can put it here and it doesn't have to be a city. Now, Paris, France, that's a city as far as I know. But as an example, if I go in here and let's say that I put in St. Peter's, I don't know personally, is it grabbing the St. Peter's in Missouri? I think there's a St. Peter's, Florida, etc. So we may want to set that up. What does that mean? That means that you may want to change this location. All right. Or you might want to add more boxes, or you might want to give the user the option of putting in, both a city and a state, or a city and a state and a country code, etc. And in fact, if you look in here, somewhere in here, I know it, at least they used to. Let's see. There, country, US. All right. So what would be nice, like I said, to make this program more extensible. That's my opinion, for whatever that is or isn't worth. All right. So this is our thing. Remember, I would recommend that you put the units equal imperial, because otherwise it's going to use the metric system by default. All right. The other thing you could do, if you wanted to, as an example, you could set it up with either a radio button or something else, where if it was a non-United States city or country or whatever, maybe you wanted to use the metric system, you could put in radio buttons or something else to do that. All right. Do you have to do that? No. But part of what you're going to be graded on is going to be the ingenuity that you used to try to extend this program. All right. So we've got a working program here, but on a 1 to 10, I'll give it a 4. I'd like you to make yours at least an 8, is what I'm saying. All right. That icon, you might have to do some finagling with this. I started to, and I never finished it, but I showed you where that was, so you can see that as well. All right. All right. Then we go down to our location. This is part of the place where I had the problem yesterday. I did not have that ending parenthesis right there in line 18. That was the biggest problem that I had. All right. In English, the event right there that we're looking for is you hitting the enter key after putting in a location into the text box. You put a location into the text box, you hit enter. So then this Axios call is basically saying, I want you to go out and I want you to grab that URL. All right. And basically, I want the response that you get back. Okay. Set data is going to be that data that gets returned. That data, all right, that you see is, again, when we come back here and look, someplace in here, I don't know where it is. I thought that it said data. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe not. All right. But I know that on the open weather thing, there's someplace in there where it'll mention data. All right. But again, I don't want to go off on this on too big a tangent here, but again, it does a good job in here of explaining the different things. So you may have to go in and look, and remember, you can just click on API itself, and you can go down here. And if we keep arrowing down and down and down and down and down, there's a whole bunch. There you go. There's the API documentation. So that basically right there is a like a breadcrumb type of thing where you can take a look in there. It's a sitemap basically, where you can go and look for different stuff. All right, it's all the stuff that's up above, but it's hyperlinked down there, so you can jump right to where you want it to go. All right, okay. So after we do that, then we are at least attempting here to log that response data. So let's look in here. Let's see, compiled successfully. Actually, where we've got the console.log, what you might notice when you look right here, you're like, yeah, we don't see anything. There's nothing, none of that stuff is in there. Remember, React is a front end component. All right. So if I come, basically, if I come through here and not here, but if I go where my output is, back to here and to here, and I right mouse click and I choose inspect, and I go down to console, all right, well, look at this, failed to load or whatever. But the point is, when you start looking in here, what do we have? We got objects. Well, that should look kind of familiar to you. I just ran that and I put St. Peter's in there. So you can start looking, this is all the stuff that's in here. All right. Basically, this is the same thing that I just put out there for your output, but this has got everything in there. All right. If you decide you want to show when the sun rises and sets, you can do that. So there's a lot of information in here, but I just wanted to mention, you probably already knew it, but React is a front end. It's a front end framework. So everything that you do in here to check things out with a console, you're checking it out like we did in the AWD1000 class. All right. And hopefully, like I said, what I just said, hopefully makes at least some sense. All right. So let's keep going. Okay. And all this says is, hey, when we're done, just basically, set the location back to nothing. All right. Then the rest of the stuff that you see in here is what we are returning. Yes, I made changes in here. So no, it does not look exactly like it looked yesterday. All right. Now, just to tell you this, now this morning, in the morning class, I went and I wrote a link app with the students. Okay. And we're in like chapter 18 of 22. So we're working on a link right now. And I wrote it, but I wanted them to do it as well. I'm down to 6 people in that class, but only one comes live. And he was actually coding along with me. The reason I'm telling you this is I've had other students in the class email me and say, well, when you're doing this, what's the best way to do this? Should I code along with you? Should I have the computer on and be coding along? Or what should I do? One guy told me how he comes in and he's always stopping the computer and he's starting it again. I said, well, one thing is, if you wanted to grab all of this code right here, you could always go up in it at the end of your function keys, hit your print screen key, and then just go ahead and open up Paint, and boom, there's all that code. I don't care how you do this. I just want you to do it. All right. And I was thinking about this. I want to have a talk with Mr. Gudmested at the end of the semester because sometimes I just think this. I love this class. I really and truly do. But I'm wondering if we're just trying to do too much in here sometimes. All right. MERN is pretty doggone big. We could easily break this up into 2 classes. And sometimes I wonder if that's what we should be doing. That's one thing is at the end of the semester, when you're all filling out your course evaluations, if you agree with that, put that down. If you're like, no, put that down. All right. So again, I put everything inside of a wrapper. So my wrapper begins here. My wrapper ends there. Technically, I didn't need it because we have apps, so we really didn't have to do that. It's totally fine. You can div this thing up, no pun intended or anything, as much as you want to. All right. So then this is our search box. So what you see right here, everything in the blue, and this should make sense to you by now, that is this right here, the word location and the text or the search box for the location. All right. So I'll leave that up there for a second, but you look at it. So that's the word location. I mean, I could have probably put it in as a P tag or something else. Again, I'm not one right for what we're doing now for prettying things up. I want to get the stuff in there, explain to you what I'm doing, and then have you put it in and have you pretty it up. All right. And again, so if it's the end of the semester and you're doing a course evaluation and you say, I think the way he taught this sucks, put that down. It's okay. You're not hurting my feelings any. The only way I get any better is for you to tell me what you think I'm doing wrong. All right. So this right here then is the actual text box. Okay. So the value we're putting in there, so we're grabbing that location. And that location, technically, you might say, well, that's what you're keying in. Yeah, that really is. But really, that location is this location. All right, because that's what we're using to affect the state. All right. Okay, it's a text box. We put some placeholder text in there. It's not mandatory that you do that. All right. You might even say it's a little overkill because, you actually say in here location and then enter location here. Then don't put it in. Then take it out. I don't care. Or leave it here and remove that or change that. Again, I don't care. I've got location here and I've got location here. You might want to make that city or something else. All right. Always your call. Okay, so that's the placeholder on key press. So every time we're pressing a key, okay, it's going to be calling this location search that we just talked about. Now, when you look in here, basically it's saying it doesn't want to react until we've hit the enter key. So for instance, if I type in Wentzville, technically, if I type in Wentzville, I don't know how many letters are in Wentzville. I don't care. But, all right, technically, if there's 10 letters, this is actually being called 10 times with the on key press and the on change. But what basically is going to end up happening is once the location search, once you hit enter, the location search is then going to do all this stuff. Again, go out using that URL that we just gave. And remember, by then, that URL, whatever we put in there, that location is going to end up, that's what's in here. So Wentzville, St. Peter's, Memphis, Nashville, whatever, Chicago, doesn't matter. So that's how it's grabbing it all. All right. Okay. So that's the search box. So let's go down. Everything else that I put in here, I put in and I called it weather info. And that's everything that's in here. So we're going to go over that right now. All right. But when you see this, you'll notice I call things what they were. Literally, they're called, I believe, most of the stuff. I tried to pick the names right out of there. Remember, these are my names. And the reason I put those in there, okay, is I'm envisioning when you are in your app.css, you will have a dot location and that thing will be formatted in the way you want it formatted. A dot temperature, a dot description, etc. All right. So let's take a look. So in here, let's just start taking a look at stuff. Okay, so the first thing we're grabbing is location. And we got data.weather and we got data.name. Okay, so let's take a look at where the location actually is. It's way the hay down here. Okay, that's our location. And when you see this, well, let's see, it's not part of this. It's not part of this. It's not part of this. So it's part of this. All right, which is basically what? That basically right there is data. All right, so under data, it really is data name, to be honest with you. That's why I said sometimes with this stuff, it takes a little bit of finagling to figure out exactly what goes with what. All right. So this data.weather, what we're saying here is, again, if there is a location in that name field, use it, put it in a paragraph, put the word location in a space before it, then put it in there. If there's nothing there, just have it be null. That's why, again, and you know you've seen it already, but when I come in here and I type in Wentzville and I hit enter, boom, it changes. This goes away, etc. But if I type hello and I hit enter, nothing happens. Is that good? Probably not. Probably you should take yours and get rid of all this stuff, or just say location unknown and get rid of this, or whatever, or put in a default location. Again, it's your app, so you do what you want to do with it. All right. Okay, so then we go to the temperature, and you'll notice in here, you may or may not have noticed, but notice it's got a 2 fixed on it. All right, why? Well, if we go in and we take a look at the actual temperature right now, it's 59.88. I don't really want that. If you ask somebody the temperature right there, they're going to tell you it's 60. All right, because it just makes sense that it would be 60. So again, in other words, what we've done here is we put in the 2 fixed and we didn't put a number here, which just meant basically round it. All right. Okay, so again, we're saying data.main.temp.2 fixed. What does that mean? Well, let's take a look at where that temperature actually is. All right. So we're in data, there's main, and there's temp. So again, I'm hoping that running through it like this is making sense to everyone. And you're like, yeah, I can see how this stuff maps up, etc. All right. And again, we're saying same kind of thing. All right. That we're looking in here. If there is a temperature, all right, put in that temperature. I'm not going to do this again because yesterday that's how I kicked myself out. But I believe it's if you use I think it's Control Shift F2 will put a degree symbol in there because that would look a lot nicer, like 60 with a little dot above it, F for Fahrenheit. I think that would look nicer than to say 60 degrees. All right. Again, otherwise put in nothing. All right. Then the next thing that's in there is the description. Let's take a look at where the description is. Right here. All right. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4 things in here. All right. And you may look at this and say, okay, then why are you using data weather 0? And I will tell you, play with it a little bit. Try putting a different number in there and see what happens. All right. That's the only way you're going to learn. It won't be by me saying a thing to you. And I put currently, you might want to put current conditions in there. All right. You might want to put something else. I haven't looked enough at the Open Weather API, but there's probably at least a chance that maybe someplace in here, I didn't see it in here, in where we just looked. All right. In fact, there's the description, but there's not much in there. Overcast clouds. I don't know if there's a way to get more conditions, and maybe you want to put an extended forecast or whatever. All right. Okay. So then we've got the wind. And again, you'll notice again, it's a to fixed. All right. So again, notice that's under data.wind.speed. What does that mean? Again, that means we're under data here. There's wind and there's speed. I want you to play around with this stuff. I really do, because that's how you're going to learn. You're not going to learn by sitting there and copying in some junk that I put up there. All right. But you'll learn if you copy in some junk I put up there, and then you start to make changes to it. All right. That same kind of thing. I don't know what format this is in with the sunrise and the sunset. Is that in milliseconds or something? I don't know. Take a look at it. And if you decide you want to know when the sunrise and sunset are, then include those. All right. I'm really and truly hoping that everyone who does this, that each one of yours looks a lot different than one another. Then I'm doing my job. All right. Okay. And then we finally have got the same kind of thing in here with humidity. All right. So now, Clayton, are you online too? Okay, John, then maybe it's just you. Is there anything that you need me to go over anymore, or anything that you're not understanding?
No, I don't think so. I think you
Okay.
explained it pretty well.
I mean, does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's again, that's the most important thing. Is what we're doing makes sense. All right. Because what we're going to do is we're going to not change this, but when we talk about the movie stuff, it'll be a little bit more complex. And we're going to start talking about something that's called React Router, which allows you basically, by incorporating React Router, we don't have to do it here because it's just one page that we're showing. But when we do our next app, we're going to be showing a couple pages. And by using React Router, we're going to make those 2 pages basically look as though they're one page. In other words, we're going to be able to do routing and be able to do it in real time. All right. And then I looked at this, and the app, there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't know if it's going to do a good enough job, of explaining React Router to you. So I'm looking at creating something on my own where next week you might have another one. It won't be assigned or anything, but we might just do a React Router project just so you can see how you can move stuff around and different things that you can do. All right. What I did, just so you know, is the program that we're about to embark on, this movie app, it's stripped down. It is stripped down from the movie app that I did last year. Why? Because we did it last year. People got it done last year. And when I talked to a few of them after class, did you understand what you did? Not really. And I want to make sure people do understand it. All right, that's why I'm taking more time on these programs than I have been in the past, because I want to make sure you do understand them. All right, so all that said, let me go and show you one thing quickly, and I got to move something over myself. I can close that. And let me go out to here. And okay, so let's see. What I want to do. Oh, I want to go out here. Out to here. And where am I? I'm in the wrong place, I think. There. All right. There it is. Okay. So if either you didn't have a chance to get your own OMDB API movie key or API key, or you asked for it and it didn't come yet, you can use this one. It should work just like the other one did work. And you can see it's a lot smaller. All right, it is 2C2E69A0. All right here. That's my key. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is, before we start, I am going to go out to that site. So it sounds like you didn't have any other questions. So I'm going to close down everything that I've got here for the movie thing, or the weather thing that we were just working on. So I'm going to close all of that. All right. And I'm going to go out to, oh, not there, to omdbapi.com. All right. This is it. I'm sure, we looked at it. We started looking at it yesterday, or you maybe went out to it yourself. Technically, it is one page. Everything that you need is in here. So again, other than the API key, but if you look, Patreon means you're going to pay monthly. You probably don't care. Donate, you probably again don't care. Contact, the only reason that contact was important was basically when I went in there, that's how I found Mr. Fritz's email. All right. So when we look in here, well, we've got usage. All right. So notice it says this is what we're going to do. Now, this wouldn't be enough in here, but I do want you to understand something. If we go in here, now if you look here, they've got examples. So movie by title, year, etc. That's all fine. But what I want you to understand is, okay, this is just two ways of looking at the same thing. You can grab a movie by its title or by this is the Internet Movie Database ID, and you're going to see that in a minute. But I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to grab one of these examples. I think it was this one. It's pretty good. All right. Now, don't worry. I know it says no API key provided. I'm going to fix that in a minute. But what I just keyed in there, and I want you to see this, what I just keyed in there was this. All right, http://www.omdbapi.com/s=Batman and page=2. What does that mean? Well, that means that we're going out to that URL right there. And after the question mark, that's our query string. So basically, what we're looking for is anything with Batman in it. And we're assuming it has more than one page because we're asking for page 2. All right. Now that should all make sense. All right. But if you go back again, you'll notice that it says response is false, no API key provided. Yeah, we already know that. All right. Well, it said in here that when we wanted to use it, we had to say and API key equal. So let's try doing that. So let's go back to this one, and I don't need the page equal. All right, well, we can leave it in there, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to say and API key equals, whoops, better spell it right. API key equals, and I'm going to go back to where I just showed you where my key was. If I can find, there it is. So I'm going to grab that. All right. And come back in here and see if I put that in. Oops. I need my page equal to, if I want that, and API key equal, and then paste that in and hit enter. And you can see what I get. I'm not going to read a bit of it to you. All right. This should at least be somewhat familiar to you because this looks, even though the data is different, in many ways, this looks like what we did when we were on Postman. All right, we were using our own movie data as opposed to somebody else's, but the ideas were similar. What I want you to understand, though, is this. I'm going to grab that right there, that one. Why? And that's just a killing joke, all right? And it's just the first one, and it doesn't matter which one we grab. But I want to go back again in here, and I want to, whoops, sorry. I want to look, and under usage, yeah, we've got all this stuff, but someplace in here, there should be an example. There it is. So we want to say I equals this. See that right there on this example. So I'm going to grab their example right here. Okay. And again, I don't care. There's no key in there. I don't care. But where it says I equals, I'm going to change that and I'm going to put in that particular one. It still isn't going to work. When I hit enter, I'm still getting the no API key provided. All right. But now when I come in and I say ampersand API key equals, and I go back again because I have no memory today, and I grab this and copy it and put that in there. All right, so try it again. And API key, put your fingers on the right keys. And API key equals, and I paste in my key and I hit enter. Now, this is the gold right here. What do I mean? Well, I'm going to grab certain fields from here, but I'm not going to grab everything. Once we get this thing written and working, it's again going to be your responsibility to format it and decide when you bring up an individual movie, what do you want to show? Because you'll notice there's a lot of stuff in here. All right. I mean, is it worth you putting in when the movie, how many IMDb votes it had? Is it worth you putting in there when it went to DVD? I don't know, because it's your app. All right. You'll see the stuff I put in, and I'm not saying it's the right stuff. Sometimes people like, I know a lot of people, friends of mine who go to movies, they go out to Rotten Tomatoes all the time to see how things were rated. All right. But like I said, there's a ton of stuff in here. So technically, we are going to have two different pages in here that we're going to be working with. And believe it or not, you've already seen them. This I would consider to basically be a movie detail page. All right, because again, it'll have details. This is a movie list page. All right, and what do we care about from here? Think about this. All right, I'm probably going to grab this and have the poster in there for each one of the movies and maybe a title too. All right, sometimes the title's a little hard to read or whatever. And I'll probably have a button or something that says details. And then when I click the details button, I'm going to go in and grab whatever from here that I wanted. All right. That in a nutshell, that's what this particular program is about. All right. And like I said, hopefully I try to go over it actually very slowly. And hopefully what I just said made total sense to you. All right. And if it didn't, you'll say something. Now I want to make sure here. Let's see. Yeah. I started to write myself some instructions in here, and we basically have gone over everything that I had in there. So again, the good news is as you start to look your way through here, all right, there's not a whole lot to look through. I have not looked at, I actually once started going through these, but once I got to this one, well, that's pretty much what I need. And then looked at the next one, I said, well, there's the difference. There, in there, now we have an individual one. And again, I don't have my key in there, I know it. And in there, we have listing all of them. And again, I don't have my key in there. But that's what I needed from here. All right. Now, when you look through here, that's the usage. So then we've got parameters. So you can see when you look in here. So for instance, and I'm not saying you want to do this, but maybe you wanted to limit your, when somebody does a search, maybe you want to let them search by year if you want to do that. I'm not saying you do want to do that. All right. But notice what you can search by in here. All right. You've got year of release. We go down here. Again, year of release, the data type to return. I don't know. I'm looking in here. I was just wondering. I didn't know if they had a genre in here or not. I'd have to look through it more than I have. But maybe you want that set up so you can just search for action movies. I don't know. All right. And again, I already showed you those examples, the ones in the change log that's down here. I don't even know. I haven't played with this. Okay. So I guess so you could put in here and just put in, let's see if we try this. Because like I said, I haven't tried it. And what year did that come out? 2016. I don't even know if I'm doing this right or not. So 2016 and click search. All right. And it shows me this. All right. But again, I'd still have to put my own key in there. All right. I don't see where that provided me anything that I couldn't do from here. All right. Again, that's just me talking. Okay. So hopefully you have had the chance that you were able to go out and get your own key. I'm not going to put it on you, John, to say it, but at least hopefully everybody in the class has had a chance to do that. All right. And again, if you have not, all you do is you come out here and you click the free option, put your email in. I'd ask that you put in your ranking. All right. Your first name, your last name. In here, just put down something like Student React Project or something like that, and then submit. If for some reason it takes more time and they claim you should get it within an hour, but then it also says if it doesn't show up within an hour, contact me directly. And that's him right here. That's Brian Fritz. If I highlight it over here, then down here, you will see that it says B Fritz at feedingsignal.com. All right. And again, if you decide that what you want is you want to put this in here as part of your electronic portfolio at the end of the semester, you still have to do one of those. All right. That I can guarantee you that my key will be deactivated by that time. So don't keep using mine. I don't mind you using it, but if mine's deactivated and somebody goes up, tries to bring up the project, they're not going to be able to get any data. That won't look very good for you. So if you haven't yet gone out to look for a key, please do that. All right. And I should mention this too, because I'll forget otherwise. Let me go quickly. We're going to take a break in just a few minutes, but I'm going to put in here your portfolio will be due the day before the last day of the semester. Now, this is an older document, so I will have to upgrade it. Notice that was the one that was for last fall. All right. Well, I shouldn't show that this is somebody's, but it's going to look very similar to the way that it looked before. The big difference is, all right, the big difference is you will be adding information from Node. Now, for James and for Nick, you two guys will have 4 semesters of information. So you will have your JavaScript, you will have your C Sharp, you will have your Node, and you will have your, for you guys, it'll be your Android. All right. For the other guys, other people in the class, you're going to have it set up like this. All right. And this is what I'm going to look for. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to update it, upgrade it, change the dates, etc. But as you can see, it's worth 150 points. All right. And again, this will be due the day before the end of the semester. All right. And why the day before? Just in case there's any problems. I have problems receiving it or whatever. So it'll be due 12/14. The last day of the semester is 12/15. All right. You guys, hopefully you realize this too. Today's day 56. We literally have after today 24 more days. I want to make sure it is one of my goals that by Wednesday of next week, we have started on our final project. All right. I want us to have time. I want us to get a really good good head start on this project because now 2 weeks from Thursday, you're going to be off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for Thanksgiving. All right. And we're already going to lose part of next week because I'm going to finish up the React stuff. But that'll give us the at least Thursday and Friday of next week. All right. Then the following week, that we only have the 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All right. So that's a week. But I want to see how much, and maybe we'll have 6 days instead of 5. But I want us to see how big a start we can get on that project. All right. And when we get back from the Thanksgiving break, all right, this is all we're going to be working on. And I don't mean that I'm not going to sit there and lecture for 4 hours a day, but I may average Monday through Thursday lecturing 2 hours a day. All right. So 2 hours Monday through Thursday, and then Friday will be a lab. Okay. All right. It is 1 o'clock. Let's take 15 minutes, please, and come back at 1:15. All right, it is 1:15, so let me just get my stuff together here. It'll take me literally just a second. Where am I? All right, I left, oh, there it is. I was gonna say I left my cheat sheet, but I do have it. So let me grab this and copy my cheat sheet over, and then we'll get started. Sorry about this. My during the break, my daughter called, so I haven't talked to her in a few weeks. She lives in another state, so I was talking with her. I don't know if you heard this. One person won the $2 billion Powerball jackpot. They're from California. So let's see. Okay. Close this and bring up my stuff. I'm working off of two screens here, so let me bring that up. Sorry about this. Like I said, I've got a whole bunch of notes and stuff that I'm going by, and I tried to copy it over from one machine to the other, and it didn't take. So give me just a second. Exit now. All right, good. All right, I think I should be safe to go now. So as we have been doing, we're going to start up pretty much the same way we've been doing stuff in the past. In other words, what I'd like you to do is to go on out. Let me change my share, provide the share for you. All right. So I'm just at my desktop here, and I would like you to right mouse click on the desktop, create a new folder. We'll just call it, I don't know, React Movie App, something like that. It doesn't really matter, again, that much what you call it. So React Movie App, so that's our new folder. Okay, I'm going to move it over here. Open up the folder. Right mouse click, do your git bash here. As we always do, our npx create React app dot, which will take us a couple minutes for it to create basically the template structure for us, as you know. And then we'll remove the stuff we usually remove, and then we'll get down to it where we actually start, putting our stuff in. All right, we're going to do this a little bit differently. And what I mean is we're going to take a look at our index page because that index page is going to change from the way we've done it previously. What I mean by that is we are going to bring in and start talking about this being able to use the equivalent of React Router in here. All right, and we're going to use a few things that are in React Router DOM. So we're going to look at those too. So when we're doing this stuff, there's not going to actually be all that much code that we're putting in here for now. All right, but it's more important to me that you understand the stuff that we're talking about. All right, so mine's up. Yours might still be coming up, but I'm going to do a code dot. All right, now keep this external window open, but now inside of VS Code, I now have my project up and running. Okay, nothing big here. Just as we've been doing, I'm going to remove the app test, the logo, the report vitals, and the setup tests. And again, it really and truly doesn't hurt if you leave those in there. To me, they're just superfluous. In other words, they're files we're not going to use, and that's why I'm getting rid of them. Okay, so I've got again apptest.js, logo.svg, reportvitals.js, and setuptest.js. I'm going to right mouse click and choose delete, move them to the recycle bin. So again, I'm cleaning this up. You've seen this before, so it's nothing new here. What the heck happened there? It removed everything in my source. Well, that wasn't good. I must have had source highlighted. So let's see. There it is. So let me cut that and bring it back because I screwed up. That's going to take a second to get all that stuff back. I apologize. But you know which ones you're supposed to remove. Again, I guess I had the actual source folder itself highlighted, which was foolish, but we'll get it back in just a second. So pretty much what we've been doing so far inside of that index. In fact, let's just take a look at from the one we just did, this React weather app. All right, while we're waiting. So I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to bring up index.js. All right, not really a whole heck of a lot in there. All right, and we're not going to have a lot more in there now. We're only going to add about 6 or 7 lines, but these lines that we add, most of them at least, are going to be in here. All right, and the reason that we're doing this and the reason that we're going to be going over React Router is this is the first page or the first time we are creating a website in React that has more than one page. So we have to let the system know basically how to, basically the routes to go from one path to another. We're going to keep it really simple. All right. So let's see, did it finish? I think so. So let me bring this back up. All right, there's our source. And again, I don't want source highlighted. So let me just do these one at a time. So I'm going to remove Web Vitals. And then I will remove setup tests. And then I will remove the logo file. And finally, I will remove the apptest.js. All right, so that's everything I wanted to get rid of. I'm going to go into index.js as we've been doing. And I'm going to remove from here the Web Vitals that's right there and the report Web Vitals that's right there. All right, we're going to make some changes to this in just a minute. So I'm going to save this, but I'm going to leave it open. Then I'm going to open up my app.js. And as we did before, I'm going to remove this importing of the logo. We're going to put another line there in just a moment. All right, and inside of here, I'm going to leave my div in here, but I'm going to get rid of all this header stuff. so that it looks like this. And as always, just to make sure it works, I'm going to put a hello world in there. You don't have to do that, of course. So let me save it. Now I already have an app up and running on port 3000. And even when I go out here and let's see, I thought I still did. Maybe I don't have it running. Well, we'll see. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to open up my terminal in here. All right. And I'm going to do my npm start to make sure that my hello world is rendering. If it does come back and say there's already something running, says, do you want to run it on another port instead? No, I don't want to. It'll run it on 3001, but I'm going to say, no, I don't want to. So I'm going to do my command. Remember, it's npx minus kill. I'm sorry. Npx kill minus port 3000. I don't know if it's kill minus port. I think that's right. And you'll know right away whether or not it works, because if it says it kills, their process killed. So if you do have something running and you want to get rid of it, npx space kill minus port space and then the port number. All right, so let me clear and let me do my npm start. All right. And I should have my hello world should come up in here, probably someplace up in here. Oh, I guess it's centered. Okay, so I've already got that in there. All right, so good. That's a start. So let's go back in then and take a look at what's in here. First thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to get rid of hello world. All right. And I'm going to put in some code in here. All right. In fact, I'm not even going to do that first. I said I'm going to go into my index. I'm going to do that first because there's not much we're going to put in here. All right. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out app. And you might say, oh, wait a minute, that's what makes it run. It does, but just take my word for it. It'll be okay in just a moment. All right. So I'm going to get rid of that. All right. And now when I come in here, what I want to do is I want to go in and I want to bring in React Router. But if you look up here, I'm importing React. That's good. I'm importing React DOM. That's good. I'm importing my index CSS. That's good. All right. And I'm importing app, and that's fine. In fact, we don't even need that anymore because we're not going to be using app. So I can remove that to begin with. All right. And we're going to create two different files underneath source. We're going to create one that's going to be called movielist.js and another one that's going to be called moviedetails.js. We have not created those yet. Let's just do that right now. So I'm going to click on source and I'm going to right mouse click on source and choose new file. And always when you create these files under source, they should start with a capital letter. So I'm going to call this movielist.js, and we'll write that in just a bit. All right, so I've got that one. And I'm going to click on it again and do another new file and type in moviedetails.js. So those are the two things that we're going to write. They're both empty right now, and I can even close this app.js. We're not going to do much with it, so I'll save it. It doesn't matter. So I'm back into index. The reason I wanted to show you that is I want us to be able to bring in those two files to our program. So I'm going to first say import. Let's see, I got to give it the name. So the first one was movie list, and I have to tell it where it lives. So from /, and notice there's movie list. All right, so there's that one. And then I'm going to import movie details, and that'll be from / movie details. Now, you already probably know this, but they're both grayed out or kind of grayish because those two files are empty right now. So they're not doing a flaming thing for us, which is fine. All right, I'm going to come up here because when I'm importing third-party things, I like to put them all on top. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to import some stuff from React Router DOM. So I'm going to import from React Router DOM something called browser router, something called switch, and something called route. All right, I am going to import all of those. And again, they're third parties, so they will be from, and I will put in here react-router-dom. All right, so I'm going to give you a second to catch back up. In fact, I'm going to move this line up for these importing the CCS. I'm going to move it down. I'm going to move it there. I just like my stuff set up in a certain way. You may agree, you may not agree. But again, I like my third-party stuff at the top. Then I like my own stuff that I'm bringing in next. And then any CSS or whatever, I like that last. Again, that's just me. You don't have to do it that way. All right. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, because I want you to at least be exposed to this, but this React router DOM, first of all, that's not an equal sign. That should be a minus sign. All right. But I want to, for React router DOM, I want to go out here and I want to go out to npmjs.com and I want to put in here react-router-dom. And I'm going to grab the first one that's shown. You'll notice again, it has a GitHub page, but let's just take a look at what it says here. All right. It says it contains bindings for using React Router in web applications. Please use the Getting Started from guide for information on how to get started with React Router. So if I put my mouse here, it's going to bring me up to this, another GitHub page with React Router on it. But let's take a look in here. All right. It says, welcome to the tutorial. We'll be building a small but feature-rich app that lets you keep track of your contacts. I thought of, when I looked at this, having you guys do it, but all the code's in there. But you may want to take a look at it, is what I'm saying. All right. They give you all the code. They tell you basically, I believe, everything that you put in. You can see how it's set up. One thing we haven't done, but you can, you literally, in lieu of taking something and giving it an extension of .js, if it is basically a JSX file, all right, where you're returning HTML inside of JavaScript, you can give the file a .jsx extension. You don't have to, but you can. All right. But the first thing it says here that we want to do is we want to create a browser router and configure our first route. Again, I'm going to click on this. All right, perfect. All right. But when you look in here, what do we have? Well, notice what we're importing in here. We've got create browser router. All right, well, we have just browser router, but it's got route provider, which we don't have, and it's got route, which we do have. They are showing you in here one way that you can set this stuff up. I tried to come up with a way that I think, at least, maybe I'm wrong, but I think is going to be a little bit easier for you to understand. All right. And remember, we're going to have 2 pages in here. Our first page is going to list all of our movies, and our second page is going to list the details about a particular movie. But also, please remember that everything that you do inside of React, you are creating components. So we will have a movie list component, and we will have a movie details component. And a component can and often does consist of other components. So if you think it's worth your while, you can take a look through here. It's not a bad read. I went through it before. I wouldn't say it's a great read either. Like I said, I'm looking at possibly having us do something different. I found a few things online and I'm going to maybe modify them, and we might use one of those and do that next week on Monday. We'll see. All right. So I'm back in here and I've got all my imports. That's good. Everything there is done. All right. I've got here this const root equal. I didn't put this in. This was put in for me. All right. And do I still need it? Technically, no. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this part of it right here that says document.getElement by ID root. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to just copy it for now, and I'm going to put that line down here. That's going to be my last line that I put in here in just a minute. All right. Now, looking at that, it's not going to work because it's got to be inside of that. All right. So we've got all this. Don't worry about errors and whatever. This stuff will all go away in just a bit. All right. Okay. So we are in strict mode. I don't want to get into that right now, but we are in strict mode. Okay. But inside of here, I want to actually put in, and notice now, if I put in a B, it recognizes the browser router from what we did up here. All right. So there's my beginning browser router tag, and there will be my ending browser router tag. And again, what that is going to allow us to do is basically go back and forth between different pages that we're going to have on our site. And in order to be able to do that, one of the other things we brought in there was switch. So if I come in here now and I type in switch like that, it is not exactly the same as a switch statement, but you know what? It's pretty similar to the switch statements that we've been working on for the last year plus. All right. But what we have to tell it in here, what we have to tell it basically is, for lack of better words, what we want to switch on. All right. And we're going to give it two different paths. Okay. And one path will be for our movie list. In other words, our list of all the movies that meet the criteria. So again, if we type in Avengers, in eventually what we're going to have for a text box, and we click on a button that says search. All right. If we do that, then it's going to bring up all the Avengers movies. On the other hand, we're going to have another route that if we provide an individual ID of a movie, that we're going to bring up the details just for that movie. All right. So hopefully that made some sense. And now we're going to say route, and we're going to put in here exact path equals like this, and we're going to say component equals, and in curly braces, we're going to put movie list. Okay, that'll be the first one. And then we need to put in our other route. And that'll be path equals. And this is not going to be that different from what we did, for example, when we were working in Postman. In Postman, you would put in something and then you would put in :ID. All right. And we can do it like that, but I'm going to put it in like this. I'm going to put in /:IMDb ID, because that's what they actually call it in there. And I'm going to say component equals, and this will be our other page. So this will be our movie details. Like that. And like that. Okay. So in English now, what we are saying here in English is, if we just put in a slash, we will want this page to appear. If we put in a slash followed by an ID, we'll want this page to appear. All right. And again, hopefully at least, that totally makes sense. All right. Okay. Now let's see. I'm going to grab this. I don't know why it's giving me an error here, but it's saying that it's expecting a comma there, and I'm looking at my notes to see why it would be giving me that, but I'm not sure why. All right. So we've got our, it's because we still have this in there. Okay. I want to get rid of all this, even the root.render. We want this to say, we're going to fix it right now. All right. I want this in here. I want this to say React dom.render, react dom.render, and then a parenthesis here, and then we'll have our other parenthesis at the end. So that'll come here. All right. This is actually correct. I'm going to look through this, double check and make sure I didn't make any mistakes. Importing React from React, importing React DOM from React DOM. We don't need the client, I don't think. I think we could do it like that. All right, from React DOM, importing our CSS file, our browser, router, our switch, and our route from React Router DOM, our movie list from /movie list, and our movie detail from /movie details. All right. Okay. Then we've got React DOM.render, left paren, React.strict mode. We're going to go over all this, but again, I'll do it next week. Browser router, switch, our route with our exact path. Component equals, that looks right. Our route with our path. Component equals, and that looks correct. Switch. All right, our browser router, our React entering our strict mode, and it's still giving me an error there. Not sure why it is. All right, so let's see. I'm trying to figure out how the easiest way to fix this. I'll go back to what we had there before. That still didn't fix it. Darn it. Ooh. Boy, I'm not sure what the problem is. Well, I'm going to go back, even though we've got an error. We're going to go on. We can write the rest of it, and as we did yesterday, if I have to, I'll go back and we'll work on it some more tomorrow. So React DOM.render. With that, get rid of that. All right, and we've got our everything else that's in here looks correct. I don't know why. Like I said, it's giving me that, but for some reason it is. It is giving me a comma is expected. Oh, there. That was it. It was expecting a comma there. I wish I'd looked at the mistake or the error message. All right, so we're setting this up in strict mode, which is the default. We're telling it when you come in here to be able to use React Router, all right, and we want to switch. If what we add is just going to be a slash, so if we're just basically at local :3000, we want it to bring up the movie list page. On the other hand, if we put localhost :3000 / followed by an ID, we want it to bring up the movie details page. All right. Any questions so far? Anything that doesn't make sense? You there, John?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, and again, we will talk next week. I didn't want to get so bogged down. I know that I have a tendency to do that sometimes, that I want you to understand what strict mode, what browser router, what all this is. But then we lose contact and context from actually working on a project. So we will come back to that. And if for some reason we don't, please remind me and we will. All right. So let's do the movie details page, and let's do the movie list page. All right, we might as well do the list one first because that's the big one. All right, and we'll see what we have to do in there. Now, in order to do this, so let me do a file, save all, and I don't think I'll need this anymore. So for now, at least, I'm going to close that. And I got my movie list page up, which is empty. But one of the things I'm going to want to use in movie list, so I'm going to go back again into here, and I'm going to put in use effect, which we may have started talking about. I don't know. And I thought it would show it in here, but it doesn't. I've got a couple articles that I found on use effect. I will send them to you. This one right here is what, when, and how. The first thing it says is use effect is a React hook. What does that mean? React hooks, again, are those things that you can add typically inside of a functional component, all right, to be able to work with things dynamically. And as it says there, you will often use this hook whenever you need to run some side effects, like sending HTTP requests. All right, it says, what are these side effects and when do you use the use effect hook? So let's quickly take a look at this. I'm not going to read to you or anything else, but you can see what it says the job is right there. All right. So we will have side effects basically in our program. So not only will we be including use state as we have been doing this week, we will also include use effect. You'll see that in just a bit. All right. So I will, like I said, I will send you this article. I don't want to get too bogged down in it. The thing is, I've been looking online. This one isn't bad. The article isn't bad. All right. And the 2021 date isn't bad. Another one I was going to send you today, and I didn't, was I found this one. Where is it? This beginner's guide to React Router. I went back and read it, and it's pretty good, but it's not timely. It's more than 6 years old. It says this tutorial uses React Router version 2.0.1, and we're at version 6. So it's almost too antiquated to be any good. Then I found this one that's called React Router 6 tutorial with examples. It's not bad. So I'm going to send you that. I'm going to send you this. I just got this today. You'll notice how timely it is. It's literally about 2 weeks old. But it says that you shouldn't use effect to make API calls. All right? That you should not do that. All right. And it's like, don't worry about it. It's not that it's terrible to do it. It's just that they're saying that it can be very slow. I found this, a brief overview of React Router and client side routing. But again, it's 5 years old. And then I found this one just before class. I was looking at this right before class. Again, it's not old. It's, a year old, but it's big. It's like 25 or 30 pages. A complete guide to React Router, but they've got tons of different um, code snippets in there. And I'm going to send you guys just about all this stuff. I have no idea. I've got a couple people, one of whom graduated last May, who's gotten a job since then. And he told me, he said, I appreciate when you send these articles out because they're things I can go back and look at later. All right, that's why I'm doing it. I don't expect you to read much of this stuff, if any, but if you ever get a job in the field, it's something you might want to look at. The only other thing I'll say before we go back in and start writing the code is this, that if I come back to here, I think I still got it up, but let's see. Maybe I don't. Up there it is. Even our old friend W3 Schools has got a React tutorial. All right. And this wasn't bad. I went through this before, talking about React Router, because it says create React app does not include the ability to route pages. React Router is the most popular solution. I'm not going to run through any of it, but it does go through the stuff that's in here and explains some of it. In other words, it's a good starting point. All right. So we'll probably come back to that later on Monday or whatever. All right, so let me get rid of these and let's just start writing. So we're going to import in here, and we want to import both use state and use effect. And both of those we import from React. Okay, we have been using use state, but now we're adding, all right, now we're also adding in here use effect. All right, the other thing that we're going to want to be able to do in here is to be able to link from page to page and to be able to provide a link on our page, on our movie detail page, provide a link for every movie that's in there. So when we click on it, we can go to another page. So we're going to import into here also something that's called nav link. We'll go over it again, but not right now. and we'll import nav link. This is from React Router DOM. So earlier I showed you the React Router DOM page. So if you want to get a little bit more of this on your own, all right, you want to take a look at it, all right, then you'll be able to, all right, go back to the URL site and stuff I've shown you before. All right, so this will be our movie list right here. In fact, I guess I went to the details. I wanted to be here, so let me go back. Doesn't matter which one we do first, but I want to do the movie list one first. All right, so make sure you got movie list up, not foolishly like I did, movie details. All right, so this is going to be a functional component, so it's function, then the name of our file, which is movie list. All right, and let's start writing some code. The first thing we want to do is we want to set our state variables. All right, we will have 3 of them. The first is going to be actually this search term that we have, so we might as well call it what it is. So we'll have search term and set search term. All right, and that's going to be equal to, in just a bit, we're going to create a very simple thing like we had for the weather app. All right, and it'll have in there basically the equivalent of a text box where you can put in what movie you're looking for. So that's going to be equal to use state. And since that's just literally going to be a text box, we're going to initialize that to the empty string. All right. Then what we're going to get back, you've already seen this. I'm not going to go back there. You should understand by now that what we get back when we go out to the omdbapi.com, when we go out there, is we get back, all right, a list basically of movie items. In fact, just one last time. All right, you can see we get back a JavaScript object, even though, all right, so there's an object, that's a single one in there, that's the killing one. And when we go back and we look at, I think the other one is here, there it is. Again, notice what we have is, again, these are a bunch of different movies, all right, but they're all inside of a JavaScript object. And inside of those, we've got a thing called search. And in there, we've got an array of JavaScript objects. All right. And the only reason I'm telling you that is I want you to understand the code I'm putting in, what I'm putting in, and why I'm putting it in. So I'm going to have another constant in here. We're just going to call movies. All right. And we'll have a set movies. But the key thing here is this one for our use state is going to be an empty array. All right, like that. Finally, we're going to have one more. And what we want to do is, if, let's say that we want to type in Batman. All right, so we type in Batman, everything's cool. Now we go in and we decide, now I want to check on Spider-Man. But we mistype Spider-Man, and instead of Spider-Man, we type in Cider-Man. And there is nothing that meets that criteria. So we want a way to be able to say there wasn't a movie by that name. So we're going to come in here and say const, and I'm just going to call it movie not found. All right, and we'll have a set movie not found. Now, what I'm about to tell you should make sense. That's a Boolean variable. It's true that we found the movie or movies that met what we put in there, or it's false that we did not. And the reason I'm telling you that is the use state is either going to be true or false. Let's just assume the worst. All right. So those are in there. All right. Those are basically, okay, those are basically the 3 state variables that we're creating in the program. All right. Any questions on any of those? All right, then let's go on. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to call this use effect. Now, where we are right now in here, we've done MenStack. In other words, we've done Mongo, we've done Express, we've done Node. Now we're doing the R in MERN, but we're not doing MERN yet. The reason I'm telling you this is we need a way to temporarily be able to hold some information for us, but we're not bringing the database in yet because that would complicate this program quite a bit. All right, we will bring in the database and go full MERN. The plan is to do that next week. All right, but what we're going to use right now, and hopefully this is something that Mr. G talked about with you guys, all right, and that is, let's see, I'm going to put in here W3 schools. I'm going to check there. All right. So we're going to come in and we're going to use local storage. And local storage, again, you should know this already, but it's kind of like having a local database. All right. It's sort of the same thing. And you'll notice that when we use this, there's a get item and there's a set item. So we can be able to grab an item from local storage and we'll be able to basically put something out to local storage. The reason I'm telling you that is we're going to use this one next. All right. And we're going to tell it that what we want is that search term that we are going to in just a bit end up putting in. Okay. So going back to our code then, we're going to put in here what we want to do and use effect. Let's try that again. All right. So inside of use effect here, it's going to be an arrow function. We don't have to draw it as one, but we are. All right. And inside of here, we're going to say, hey, use the get item to get the movie name that is stored in local storage. All right. So we're going to say, I'm just going to call it ST. All right. Because let's call it MN for movie, MN for movie name. All right. And that's going to be equal to local storage dot, and you'll notice when there's a get item right there. This is something that's just provided to us. All right. And what do we want to search for? Well, we called it search term right there. That's the one that we're searching for. Okay. So it's going to be that search term. All right. Let me move this up. There. All right. We're not done yet, but we're almost done there. Now, we only, if there is, all right, if there is a match, okay, if there is a match, in other words, if it found something, then we want to fetch it. And if it didn't, we're basically going to end up wanting to do this. We'll not worry about that right now. So we can say here, if there's a movie name, all right, so if it found a movie name, we're going to say fetch movies, and we're going to pass it in that movie name. Don't worry. I mean, right now, if we ran this, it isn't going to work because we haven't written fetch movies yet. All right, we're going to do that in just a second. All right, so I just want you to understand, I don't know what you call it, long-term view or whatever, exactly what's going on in here. All right, that's it for what we're putting in here. Okay, but we're not, we're still in movie list. All right, so inside of our movie list page, so we're done with use effect, but we're not done inside of here. So I want to get down to here. All right, so let's write that thing that we just talked about, that fetch movies. Okay, now we've talked about this before. This is going to be pretty big. We're going to write this and then we're going to take another break. All right, this will probably be about 15 or 20 lines. Okay, so we're going to call fetch movies in here, and we're going to write this as a function. So const fetch movies. So that is this. So we're telling it now we want to fetch a movies. It's going to be equal to, now we don't have to call it MN again, but movie name seems like it makes sense. So that's going to be our movie name. All right. And when we come in here, again, this is where we're going to want to go and make our call out to. This is where we are going to go and want to make our call out to the API. All right. So I'm going to come in here and say const URL equals, and then again in backticks. I want to make sure I'm using it the same way that we used it up here. So hold on. I'm going to grab that and I'm going to just modify it just a second. So I grabbed the one that we did before. Okay. And like I said, I'm going to change this, but it'll be https://www.omdapi.com/ and we don't want this. This is going to be the one if in here, if we are using, if we want an individual movie. We don't want an individual movie. We want to say $S for search term, and that's going to be equal to, our movie name. All right. So in here, we're going to put in movie name. All right. And did I lose that? What the heck happened there? Yes, I did. Our movie name. Let me turn on word wrap. There we go. So movie name. And then ampersand API key is going to be equal to that key. Again, you will either be using my key, or if you have your own, ideally, you'll be using your own key. Okay. All right. So we've done that. Okay. But what we want to do is now we want to actually take that movie name that we put in and we want to throw it into local storage. Now think about why we're going to want to do this. All right. So we put in Harry Potter. All right. And we go in and we click and it shows us 8 Harry Potter movies. And we want to look, but we don't know what Harry Potter movie it is. And I don't know the names of any of them, but we grab one of the Harry Potter movies. Okay. So we click on it, we get the information, we read the synopsis, but it's not the one we want. We want to be able to go back to the page we were just at, the home page, and we want it to still say Harry Potter. We don't want that to disappear. All right. And if that still doesn't make sense, you're going to see it in just a little bit. All right. So I'm going to say in here, let's place the movie name into local storage. All right. So now we're doing the set item. We did the get before. So this is local storage dot set item. And again, what do we want to put in there? All right. We want to put in our search term. All right. That from up above. And that'll have to go in double quotes. So our, oh, geez, Louise. Come on. So we'll have to come in here and we will put in our search term. All right. So that's attempting to place that. Again, that may work, that may not work. All right. If there wasn't anything found, there is nothing to put in there. So we can again search like we did before. All right. And do the same kind of thing that we did before. So we've got our search term. Oh, I left something off here. And that's got to be the name of the movie. So movie name. So movie name. All right. And now we want to actually go through this. Now, I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way of using a fetch. I am going to ask that when you create this on your own, that you comment out the fetch stuff that we're going to be putting in and try to see if you can use Axios to get it to work. All right, so we're doing it more the old-fangled way. You've already seen Axios because we used Axios in that weather app, the React weather app that we just finished. But I wanted to show you both, so we're going to do fetch, and we're going to tell it to fetch that URL. All right, this is basically going to return back to us the equivalent of a promise. All right, so we're going to say here .then, and we're going to say take that response and basically set it up, set it up so that we can show the JSON. So this is going to basically show the equivalent of when I showed you that before, where we had all the different Batman movies. All right. .then. And this, what this is going to do is it literally gives us a result. All right. But the problem is that result may be good. That result may be bad. All right. So we're going to check in here and we're going to see whether or not it returned an error or it did not return an error. So we're going to use an if else here, but we're going to hope that most of the time it worked. All right. But it may not. So it doesn't matter. So we can say if result dot error. All right. Meaning that again, whoops, it's got to be a big E, I believe. Error. So if it failed, what do we want to do? Well, if it failed, there's no movie to set it to because we put in something that didn't exist. We put in a bad URL or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to set movies and we're going to set it to that empty array like it was set to initially. So we're saying here, set movies. What the heck is happening here? So if there's an error, call set movies, and we're passing it in here, an empty array. All right. Also, we want to let the user know, and if you remember, we've got this movie not found. So what we can do is we can set movie.found, all right, to false. There was no movie. All right. But if it did find it, all right, in fact, we're setting it to true. There are no movies found. All right, so we're going to set it to true. Else, that means it found some movies. All right, so it found some movies. So what do we want to do then? Well, we want to set movies to our result dot search. All right, don't worry, we're going to go over all this stuff. And now we can set movie not found to false. So let's go back, let's take a step back and look at this and talk about everything that's happened in here so far. All right, so we're attempting to fetch movies. We're telling it this is the URL that we want. What we're passing inside of that URL, oh, this is screwed up. Okay, if you typed it in like this, get rid of that. That's on me. This should say this. So I'm going over everything from the top here, everything. All right, everything in movie list. We've got 3 state variables. This is going to be the term we're going to be searching for. All right, here is where we'll be able to set that term. This will be our movie array of movie objects. This will allow us to set those. This will be our Boolean variable that will show if we did not find a movie, and this will allow us to set that to true or false. we are initializing it to false, although we do not have to. I'm just expecting the worst, let's say. Then we come in and we do our use effect. And in our use effect, we use the get item to grab information that we put into local storage. All right. And MN again is the movie name. If there was something in there, that's going to either be null. And if it's null, there's nothing to do. But if there's something in there, we're calling fetch movies and we're passing it in that movie name. Then we get into fetch movies right here. All right. And in fetch movies, again, as I said, we passed in that movie name. That's the one that we're going to use. That movie name, this MN right here, should actually be MN in here because that's the movie name that we're using. In fact, maybe we should just call it movie name. Maybe that's better. Remember, this is the formal parameter, so we can call it movie name. That's fine. It'll make our code a little bit more readable than to put movie name here. But what I want you to understand is what's happening here. We're setting up the URL. What's going to change all the time, this is again going to be whatever name we put into the text box right there. All right, and that's going to be what we're searching for, our search term. And this, again, is our API key. All right, then we're hoping it worked so we can take that movie term and we can put it into local storage so we have it available to us. Then we go out and we're actually attempting right here. This is setting up the URL right here. This is attempting the movie search. And again, we're doing this using fetch because we've already done one using, all right, we're using fetch now, but we already did one where we didn't use fetch, where we used Axios. All right, so you can kind of compare and contrast the two. This will either succeed or fail. If it fails, we're going to set our movies equal to an empty array. It may have been that already, it may not have, but there's nothing that met our criteria. So we'll set this movie not found to true, and then we can put a message later on the screen that says that. All right. If we get down to here, it was a successful search. All right. So we are setting set movies to result dot the actual search. All right. And we're setting movie not found to false. All right. Now we're not done with this yet. Okay. We're not done with what we're working on yet, but we are done in here with fetch movies. So now, and again, I kind of butchered that a little bit. I didn't mean to, but is what we've done so far, at least on a high level, does it make sense? Can you just give me a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. It is 2:15. Let's take 10 minutes. We'll come back at 2:25 and we're going to write the rest of this one. I think what we'll do is we'll see if we can get this one to work today, and then we'll write the other one for an individual movie tomorrow. I'm more concerned. I'd rather do it a little more piecemeal like this and be able to have time that you can kind of absorb everything that we've done. All right. So again, please take a break and let's come back in 10 minutes. All right, I'm back. I'm hoping you're back. So we're about halfway done with this first page, and we'll see if we can finish this up. I'm going to go till 3. All right. And if we get it all done by 3, great. Otherwise, I'll pick it up there tomorrow and we'll do the other page tomorrow. Even tomorrow, even with all that, if we start at 1, I'm sorry, at 12:05 rather, we'll be done no later than 1:30 and possibly even by 1 o'clock. So you'll have most of tomorrow as a lab day. All right. So far we've come in here and we've got our use effect and we've got our fetch movies. All right. So what I'm going to put in here next, not inside of fetch movies, but I'm going to write another routine that's just going to be called clear or clear all. So const clear all, and that will be equal to an arrow function. And that's basically going to clear all of our stuff. All right. What does that mean? Well, we're going to come in and we're going to set movies. All right. We're going to set movies to our empty array. We're going to set our search term, whatever it is we're looking for, to nothing. We're going to remove the item from local storage. All right. And now we'll call it that. That's fine. And finally, I'm going to set our movie not found to false. All right. So that should be right there, clearing everything. So far now, then we've done our use effect. We did our fetch movies. We did our clearing. All right, we got a couple more things to write here. Not really a whole heck of a lot, but a few more things. All right, one thing, and we'll write this last, so I'm going to put this in. But then I'm going to put something above it. All right, this is what's going to happen right here. All right, when we actually when we click our button. All right, when we click our button to basically come in and when we click our button because we want to go in and we want to fetch a movie. So we're going to actually down here a little later, we're going to put a return statement in here. We're going to have 2 buttons. One button that's going to allow us to search for a movie and the other button that's going to allow us to clear our results. Well, we already did the clear all right here. So I guess we might as well, let's just put it right here. All right. So with this other one, this is going to be where we are going to basically handle when we put in a new search term. All right. So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to call it what it is. So I'm going to call it handle search term change. Okay. And we'll set, don't worry about this. Those errors will go away in a second. And it equals E. This is very short. It's just literally going to be a line or 2. And we're going to call set search term. And we're going to go E dot target dot value. All right. Now it's gray because we haven't called it yet. It will ungray in just a couple minutes. All right. This is going to handle, basically, this is the routine that we are going to call, all right, when we put in our search and we've got a non-change event. If that doesn't make sense to you, again, wait till we write the thing at the bottom, all right, where we do our return. All right. Finally, what do we have left? Well, we have to basically know when we get to that point, all right, when we get to that point, what do we want to show? Okay, so we're going to write one more routine here, a const here that's called movie items. And hopefully, again, this is something that Mr. G, I would guess, talk to you about in the AWD1111 class. Now, one thing that's not that great about the Muroc JavaScript book is they don't do a really fantastic job of talking about a lot of the ES5 and ES6 functions, but they are shown. So my guess is that, John, that you and Clayton, etc., and have been exposed to the map function, where basically what you could do is you can go, basically go through an array of items and create the equivalent of a new item from them. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to say that this is equal to movies dot map. All right, and for the movie, all right, so this is, we are going to want to return this, and basically what it's going to be is three things. This is what we want to return for each movie. Okay, and if that doesn't make sense to you, hold on just a second. What I'm saying is we're going to have an interface. I want to show this to you, and maybe I'm wasting my time, but I'm really not trying to. I want to make sure you get what I'm about to say. So let me go in here. Let me go into Paint, and let me bring up that's just some garbage. All right. So let me come in here to Paint, and let me paint something. Again, this may not be great, but I want you to understand. We're going to have something like this. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to have right there. Okay, we're going to have in here, this will be the term, the movie we want to search for. So we're going to come in here and we'll have something in here that'll say like movie name, something like that. All right. So this is what we're building right now. Okay, so we'll have this. Then you will put a movie name in here, like you'd guess. All right. Then after that, what we're going to have based off of that is, and I'm going to make them a little rounded so you see, these are both going to be buttons. All right. I'm going to make one here, and I'm going to put inside of it a little bit of text just so you see it. So this right here is going to say search. All right. And then we're going to have another button here. And inside of this button, again, we're going to have some text in there. And it's going to say clear. So this basically what I'm showing you here, I mean, they're buttons. We can make them rounded, but you get the idea. So I type in Batman here. All right. And then I click search. Ideally, what it's going to show me then in here is it's going to show me all of the Batman movies. If I click clear, everything that's in here should go away, and this should go away. So when I click search, all right, when I click search, that button right there, it's going to end up calling handle search term, which is going to call set search term. All right. And I think we already talked about that before. All right, someplace in here. All right. And when I click the clear button, it's going to clear this. It's going to run that. All right. Like I said, I'm not trying to waste your time. I want you to be able to conceptualize what's going on in here. All right. So we're going to do a return right here. All right. And what are we returning? Well, we're going to return a div, but the system is going to need to know, it's going to need to know what movie we're working with. So it'll need to have a key. So we're going to say here key equals, and I'll put in here movie.imdb ID like that. All right. And we're going to have some more stuff in here too. We're going to have an image, and the source is going to be equal to movie.poster. Poster. All right. We'll have, I don't know. Hold on a sec. Movie.poster. That's got to be this. There we go. All right. We're going to have a tag. Let's try to make it an H2. I don't know. That might be too big. It might not be big enough. But this will be the title. So movie.title. All right. And then underneath that, all right, underneath our title, we're going to have a nav link. And we have to tell it where it's going to. So 2 equals, and where we want this to go is what we're going to end up writing tomorrow, which is going to be /$ movie.imdb ID. All right, let's end this. And then we end our nav link. Now, I don't expect this makes a boatload of sense to you. So what I want to do is, using that drawing that I just showed you, I want to show you what I'm talking about in here. All right. So I'll leave this for a second, but I'll come back to it. In fact, maybe I can cut this down and do them both. Let's see. All right. So when we're in here and we click this search button, this is what we'll want to have come up. So right here, so here we will have right there, that will be, in fact, I don't want to do it like that. I want to do it like this. So this, and I'll put some text in here, is going to be the movie poster. All right. So that's what we're working on here. It'll be the movie poster. All right. Then what else are we going to have in here? All right. Well, let's take a quick look. All right. We need underneath it the title. So this will be the poster, like that picture we saw of the Batman thing or whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. Then underneath this, we're going to have the movie title, and that'll be our H2 tag. And then underneath that, all right, so underneath that, we're going to have a hyperlink that's going to basically say, so I'll put a U here, and it's going to say something like details. So what I'm trying to show you here, and I'm not probably doing a great job, but I'm trying to show you what we're laying out. So we come in here, none of this is going to be showing, but we put in here a valid ID. So we put in here, for a movie name, we put in Harry Potter. All right. And we click search. It's going to show us the first Harry Potter movie it comes up with, and it'll be the poster. Underneath the poster will be the title of that movie. Underneath the title will be a link that says details. And when we click details, we're on the movie list page now. But when we click the details link, we're going to go over to the movie details page. That's what I'm trying to show you. That's why I said I'm not sure if I'm making sense, if I'm just, whatever. But hopefully that made at least a little bit of sense to you. All right. So we've got all that done. All right. Then finally, we need one more return in here, because this right here, this that you see right there, that is this right here. All right. But we also need to return this stuff that's up here so that the system knows how to draw the front part of the interface. So we're going to have another return statement in here. As soon as I can close all this, come on, close. There we go. All right. So we need one more return right down here. All right. And it will be inside of a div. We can style it. So if you want, you can say class name equals, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Main part. That's a stupid name, but you get the idea. All right. And in here, we're going to have an H1, and it's going to say something like movie list. Okay. Then underneath that, we're going to have right there, next, we're going to have in there our thing that says search. And you are going to do your work in here as far as prettying this up. So input type equal text, on change equals, and here's where we're going to call that handle search term change there. So on change equal that. All right. And then we can end this. All righty. Then we need our two buttons. All right. On click. And this will be for our search and for our clear. All right. So on click equals. The heck I just did there. Come on. There we go. On click equals. Curly brace. Let me get rid of everything else that's in there. So curly brace, paren. This will be our call to fetch movies. We're going to pass into that the search term. All right. And the name of this will be search. So that's this right here. So the name again will be search. And we can end our button. Now, I didn't put the other part of the button there, so that should be here. All right. And now I'm going to copy this because we want to do our other one. So that's our search, but we want our clear as well. All right. So we'll have another button. This one won't be for fetching movies. No. This one in here. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, Jeff. No, that is right. CZ. There we go. All right. This one will be for clearing our results. So this fetch movies, we're going to call it, we're going to pass in the search term. All right. And in here, we don't need all this stuff. So we can just put in here clear results. And that will be, we can call it just clear is fine. What do we call it up here? We called it clear all, so I'm wrong. So clear all. All right. So that there is supposed to, this right here is representing this right here. All right. All right. We're almost done. Two more things we have to put in here. First is we want to list all of our movies. All right. So remember what we're going to get when we call this. I showed you in here one movie, right? But there could be a whole bunch of them. If I put in Harry Potter, I don't know, were there 8 Harry Potter movies? You're going to have the first one, then a title, then a details, then the second one, then a title, then the details, then the third one, etc. But so I'm only showing part of it. All right. The reason I'm telling you that is what we want to show down here are all of our movie items. All right. Finally, there is a chance that this is going to be empty. What do I mean? Well, I meant to type in Harry Potter and I typed in Harry Pooter instead of Potter. So it didn't find any matches. So I can come in here and say, I can put in the thing here for the movie not found. All right. And we're going to use the question mark colon operator. If it was found, we can just put in an H1 tag that said movie not found. All right. And if it's not, so if it found something, we'll just put in null. So I'll let you type that in. I want to go back and take a few minutes and go over this entire thing that we've just done to make sure it makes sense. I mean, I'm asking you this, John. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Does it help? Does it help drawing something like this just to show you what I'm doing?
Yeah, I thought it helped.
Okay.
Clear.
I mean, everybody's different. I don't want it where people are saying, you're wasting our time doing a lot of stuff that we don't really need. But sometimes it's easier because this is all textual for us to be able to put something in there that's got a little bit of graphics in it so we can take a look and see what's going on. All right. And that's, like I said, that's my goal. One more line we have to type in. That's it. One more line. Hopefully you remember this, and that is export default movie list. All right, so make sure you put that down at the bottom. I don't know if you've been able to keep up with me, all right, or not, but we did this handle search term change. I'm hoping I didn't make any mistakes typing. We're going to find out in a moment. All right, and we've got this, everything that's in here. I'm looking here for something that looks out of whack and I don't see anything, but we'll see in a minute. So if I try to, right now, I'm going to save this and I'm going to attempt to run it. So it's going to come back up here and it's going to compile. If it gives me errors, then we're going to see if we can debug this and get this part of it working today. So again, a file save. And notice right now when I did it, it says I do have 2 errors. All right, so I'm going to look here. Says right here, module not found, cannot resolve. Oh, I still must have an equal sign in there in my React router. Yep, those should both be dashes. That's on me. I apologize. That should be React hyphen router hyphen DOM. I put in, for some reason, earlier I had another equal sign here. For whatever reason, I put in React equal router equal DOM. No. So let's see. All right, I'm going to do a file save. All right, it's still telling me I have 2 errors. It says cannot resolve React router DOM in here. So what doesn't it like? Import this from React-router. To my knowledge, that's correct. In fact, I didn't earlier, didn't we put in here /client and then I removed it? I don't remember. So let's see if that changes it or not. No, so it doesn't like that. So what doesn't it like here? Import nav link from React-router-DOM. That is correct as far as I know. All right. So, but it's telling me that's what the error is. All right, so let's see. File, let's do one more save. All right, React router DOM, use state, use effect from React, use nav link. So we're importing there from React router DOM. That actually is correct, but it's still telling me. So let me do this. I'm going to do a file save, do a save all, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to break out of this. And I'm going to do my npm start again. It may give me the same 2 errors. If it does, we have to try to debug those. Okay, it came up. All right, there's still a problem. Module not found. And yet still saying that same thing. Not, it's still showing that equal sign. And it's saying it's in line 4. Oh, I know why. It's because it's in the other file. Remember, I accidentally started to type stuff into the details page? Let me just remove everything that's in the details page. That's why. It's because I got that equal sign here. I'll put the dash in. That's fine. In fact, let's just get rid of all this. Oh, there's nothing in there. All right, so let me do a file, save all. Still telling me I got errors, but hopefully at least, this is going to fix it. So again, I'm going to come back into here. I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to try my npm start again. Error in movie list. Module not found. Cannot resolve React router DOM in here. Well, again, I want to see. I don't know if that was React Router DOM or if that has changed to /client. I don't know. Don't change yours. Nope, doesn't like that. All right. I'm going to check on this right here. So. All right. Using React Router nav link to specify it. I just want to see if it's got something in here where it tells you what to include. Import. Link from React Router DOM. Maybe it's link. No, here it is. Import nav link from React-Router-DOM. Right? That looked to me, I'm going to copy that because that looked to me like exactly what we had. Import nav link from React-Router-DOM. That is the same exact thing. All right. I'm going to have to resolve this error, John, but we've got 99% done of the first page. All right. So I'm going to just stop it right here. We will get this one done tomorrow, and then we will write the other one. All right. So have you had a chance to key in all the code that I put in here?
Yeah, I had a chance. So I on the weather app and the movie app, I have some no module errors whenever I go to start mine, and also on the BMI React app. As soon as I start it, it'll pull up a web page, but nothing will show up. Like it doesn't give me any errors, but nothing will show up either.
All right. Well, two things then. Then first, why don't you email me your BMI thing, and I'll be happy to take a look at it. I'll do it in just a little bit. And second, if you would take a screenshot of the other errors that you said you're getting, and I'll try to track those down and get answers to all that back to you by 3:55. Okay.
All right, thanks.
All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow then. Thanks.